Are we live? No, we're live, pal. We are live. We're live, pal. Yep, I'll increase that if you wanna. I'll like it if no one else does. Can I like it? I guess I can't. I'll go ahead and start because this will end up being a video anyway. Potted people in the place to be. What's going on? It's me. And also, welcome back, everybody, to the Potacito Podcast. I am your host, Surreal469. Actually, we'll keep going this way. Thank you for joining me as we journey, not episode by episode, but close enough, through our favorite collective show. Of course, I'm talking about the incomparable Las Vegas we will be covering. This is a movie review starring one of our, I am so washed out and faded with the sun, wherever it is, with one of our stars of Las Vegas, Josh Duhamel, the sexiest man in all of Sexyville. And of course, Sexyville is, of course, Las Vegas, and he, of course, is the sexiest man in all the land, the sexiest of all the sexies. The writers tell us so on Las Vegas, after all. But here in London Calling, he is not necessarily, I mean, I guess he is by default the sexiest man in all the land, but his sexiness isn't necessarily a factor here in this particular movie. So I heard about this movie, London Calling, because, of course, I follow Josh Duhamel on all the socials, of course. Why wouldn't you? If you're a fan of Las Vegas and you run the Las Vegas channel, after all. I guess this is a face reveal, even though it's not. You guys have seen my face before. Anyway, so this movie came out and I followed it, and he said, "Oh, London Calling is out, blah, blah, blah." And I finally was of the ability to come out and participate and see it. I believe I was living where I live. I actually would have been able to see it yesterday, but it dropped nationwide today. Los Angeles, we get movies, generally speaking, a bit early the day before. Come on, you see what I'm doing here, buddy? You know what? You didn't even. You wanted to get on anyway. Okay, good. So yeah, London Calling is a movie. I knew nothing about it other than it came out. And I saw Josh Duhamel started doing the rounds. He did the Jennifer Hudson show earlier this week, dancing down the hall as only Josh Duhamel can dance, or because why would anybody else want like that? And I was like, okay, this is a Josh Duhamel movie. We can get to go see it. I looked up a little bit of something about this movie. Just that it, debuted at a film festival last year and it dropped this year, which, I didn't look that up until after the movie. I can kind of tell why. So for the Las Vegas fans, the Potacito fans, which is my other channel, this is a simulcast. So this is live on my Surreal469 channel. This is live on my Surreal469 channel, and it will be going up on the Potacito channel, which is Potacito Tube on YouTube, as well as all the other Potacito networks that you can watch it on, including Twitter and others that cannot be named on YouTube. But Potacito Tube, Podecito, and then Tube at the end of that is where you can find that also, where we go episode by episode through Las Vegas and we do bonus episodes and stuff. This one will not be a bonus episode for the patrons because it's already free on Surreal469. Why would I charge you for it? It'll be up all over on the Potacito places. So London Calling, I didn't know what to expect from this movie. I walked in knowing absolutely nothing other than seeing the poster, and our boy Josh is leaned up against a car and barely even seeing the poster, like a car that not quite looks like the car of the Stang from Las Vegas, but it's a older American car that he's leaned up against. I didn't even really look at the poster, so I just knew it. London Calling, a car on it, Josh Duhamel's in it. Okay, we're gonna go watch this movie, and I was expecting like an action movie or whatever. I actually got a little bit of Montecito magic on this one because I was running late to come to the theater to see it. But I managed to come in right as the movie started. So it must have had a ton of previews ahead of it because I shouldn't have seen as early as I saw this movie Like I got there as the title was going on the screen, so I got super duper lucky. So we're watching London Calling. It starts, and so I'm gonna do non-spoiler first before we get into the spoilers. I'm gonna do non-spoiler first. I should have tagged the Potacito people in this before I went live or whatever. Oh well, they'll see it. So Josh Duhamel, I guess it's a comedy. I didn't know it was a comedy. I guess it's a comedy. Josh Duhamel plays a hitman who needs to get back to London to his son to help, in short, save his family. Kind of, sort, like in short, not kind of, sort of save his family, but not really. Basically, he needs to get back to London to see his son, and it's a comedy of errors. He's a hitman, and it's the journey that he has to take to get there. Right? On paper, that sounds like a good idea. And there were parts in this that were done well. They weren't always congruent with the rest of the movie. They weren't always congruent with the other parts that they were made with. And the story was a little bit chopped. Not even the story and the dialogue were both a little bit choppy. Basically, this movie wanted to be what's going on. Basically, this movie wanted to be a Shane Black movie. It wanted to be The Good Guys. You remember The Good Guys? You should remember The Good Guys. The Good Guys was a fantastic movie. The Good Guys was amazing. It was what's that kid's name? Not Philippi. Ryan is not Philippi. It's not Philippi. It was what's the kid? The long-faced kid. Long-faced blonde kid. I think it was in The Notebook. That kid, and not Javier Bardem. What's the other guy? What's the other guy? Was he Gladiator? He wasn't Gladiator. Who's the other guy? You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, it was you don't know what I'm talking about. It was Ryan. He was the guy who married fucking why can't I think of names? It was the guy who married Eva Mendes. He's Eva Mendez's husband, and not Javier Bardem, Gerard Butler. And they play detectives with one of their daughters tagging along. It's great fun. It's Shane Black comedy mixed with good Shane Black action. It tells a story. It brings you into the city of Los Angeles at the time period. It brings you into the time period. The dialogue is good and snappy. The chemistry between them is good and snappy and immediate. It's great. It's a great movie. And London Calling wants to be that movie. It's not, they just don't have the Shane Black, the writers, and I looked up the writers, they don't have the Shane Black technique and or ability. I wouldn't even necessarily say experience, because Shane Black wrote some good stuff super early on. It doesn't quite have the Shane Black talent as far as writing. I know what this movie wanted to be, because I've seen this movie a couple times. It wants to be Lethal Weapon 2. It wants to be The Good Guys. It wants to be a Shane Black style buddy cop comedy. That's what it wants to be. They just don't quite pull it off. And that's a shame, because there's talent involved in this. There's the smarmy, not smarmy, I guess they're all smarmy, but there's the lawyer from Suits who always gets beat up on. I forget his name. Shorter guy. Was it Leonard? Something like that. He always gets beat up on Suits, which is part of the reason why I stopped watching Suits, because I'm like, how many times can they all backstab each other? Anyway, but it's the smarmy lawyer from Suits who is also on Leverage. We've seen him on a bunch of stuff. He usually plays a fast talking guy, and very often an agent. He played Bernie Mac's agent in the Bernie Mac show, and Jerry, I think, was the agent's name, the character's name. He's in it as one of the bad guys. His son in it is Jerry Ray Taylor, I think it was. I looked it up. Ray Taylor, and he's good. He's good in it. He's good. The girl who plays his girlfriend is good in it. The girl who plays his bully is good in it. Who else? Who else was in this? The ultimate bad guy and his brother. They were good at it. There's acting chops here. The writing underserves, and Josh Duhamel, of course, aka Danny McCoy, aka head of security at the Montecito, surveillance and security, excuse me, at the Montecito. He's decent. He's good in this. Not, I won't say decent. I'll say again, he's good in it. The script and the direction underserves him in this movie. I saw this movie. It debuted at a film festival a year ago and it's just now being released. That's not often a great sign. Very often, it's kind of get released around the same time. Now, mind you, this didn't hang back years like Toxic Avenger did. The Peter Dinklage Toxic Avenger that just came out, which I did a review on. That's on the Surreal 469 channel. If you're watching on the Potasito channel, I did a review on that. That was not a good movie. That was not a good movie. And you could see why it was held back. This movie, I can maybe kind of see why it wants to be better than it is. And I think part of the way it went against it being better than it is was the way they tried to fix it was they made it longer. And that's not usually a good idea. They made it longer, and that they shouldn't have done that. It did not need to be made longer. It didn't. That was not the problem. They'd had a couple of different stories, had a lot of different stories that it put together. Some of them almost seemed like they tried to put them together for the jokes, for the funny. But part of the problem with that was the balance of the funny versus the serious. Like, it was a realistic movie, like things happen on like a realistic plane, generally speaking, other than people stopping to crack quips in between hits. But it was, there are ways to balance all that. And this movie didn't quite have that balance. Again, it wanted to be Shane Black, but it wasn't a Shane Black movie. It should have been better than it ended up being. There were parts in it. I think part of the issue was focus. As far as this movie was concerned, part of it was kind of world building, because a lot of this is based around Josh Duhamel and his ex-wife, or at least the beginning of it. The basis of his character is of his ex-wife and his kid and his ex-wife's new relationship, and that they don't build that world well enough for you as an audience member to enjoy that as much as you should, right? They don't, without giving out, it's not too much spoilers, but his relationship with the ex isn't great. They don't build his relationship with his son. They don't, they start to try to put a ticking clock on it, but they don't completely finish the ticking clock. Then they start to try to put another ticking clock on it, or at least they should, but they don't actually put the ticking clock on it. They kind of give the allurance of a ticking clock when you get near the end, and they should actually put one on there to build some suspense. There were a couple of good jokes. Some of the jokes were good. It made me chuckle. There was a few people in the theater with me. This is the quote-unquote early screening. A few of the people in the theater with me, at least one of the guys chuckled a couple of times. There's some funny stuff here. There's some good stuff here. There's a shootout near the end in Josh Duhamel's apartment that is shot very well. Choreographed very well. It just felt disjointed from the movie that we had seen 5 minutes before. And that's kind of when I realized, oh, you know what? There's a couple of different kind of disjointed parts that feel like they don't quite belong together in the same movie. Like, a few of them feel like they belong in their own movie. There's a few different scenes. There's a few different shots that are like, this should be with that other shot I saw 10 minutes ago, but it doesn't quite go well in between these other shots or these couple other scenes, right? They try stuff. There are a couple montages that they try, at least one montage that it could have been done better. And I know it could have been done better because that shootout scene was done better. So that montage scene probably could have been done better. They didn't quite do that. That would have helped build a relationship between Duhamel and the kid. And they kind of built it, but kind of throw it away near the end and then kind of repair it with no understanding of how or why they repaired it. They should have, the kid should have sort of been a surrogate for Josh Duhamel and his son, since he's away from his son, but he needs to bring the kid along on this mission to get back to London. But they don't quite do that. They don't quite mirror the relationship with Duhamel and his son with the kid that he takes along, or him and the kid. The kid doesn't teach him to be a even more competent, if not better, parent, or, you know, even in the sleazy underworld that deals with mob bosses and hitmen and stuff like that. You know, you can get away with that humor. You could do that type of humor and it works. And it works very well with like crusty cops who don't know how to be around kids and their children, right? Or, you know, hard-nosed detective, like the good guys. And it just doesn't, it's not as good as, wait, not the good guys, because the good guys, I keep this confused. It was the good guys or the other guys is the Will Ferrell movie with The Rock and Wahlberg. And the good guys, I feel like there are two good guys. There was that TV show with Brad Whitford, which was really good. Bradley Whitford and Colin Hanks, which is another really good buddy comedy show, cop comedy show. And that was, I think, the good guys. And then there was the good guy, I think it may have been both of them called The Good Guys, with Butler and Eva Mendez's husband. Yeah, I think that was also called The Good Guys. Either way, this movie's not that. This movie's not neither of those. And actually, there are a couple points, speaking of that TV show, where I thought this feels like a short series. If they had chopped this movie up and because of how it not how it ends it, but how some of the scenes end, how they're pieced together, you know what I mean? If at a certain point, there is a certain point where they go after the bad guy, the final confrontation with the ultimate bad guy. And at the end of that, I'm like, this feels like a sitcom ending. This feels like a TV show ending. This should be a Netflix show. This should be a Netflix buddy com. I look terrible. I did not. Oh, I should have shaved. I'm not camera. Anyway, this should have been a buddy cop show. If they want to do this, this should have been a mini limited series on Netflix between these guys, right? And they could do 6, maybe 10 episodes. 10 episodes would be stretching it. Actually, it was stretching it already. But the stretching felt like, because they did these little mini sort of stories, and it felt like, okay, these could be episodes. These are episodes we're watching of this thing that we're watching, right? So they could have and should have done that, but instead they just pieced them together and made it into a movie. And I think that's one of the ways it falls. I think it could have done with a script doctor. A script doctor could have, if it was gonna still be a movie, a script doctor should have come in and punched up some of the scenes, maybe take some of the fat out. All right, don't start. Took some of the fat out of the movie and pieced it together. Cut the pacing of the movie, not the scenes. And when I say the pacing of the movie, there's a little bit in between a couple of scenes that you could take, I mentioned before, take out, and the pacing of the movie works. The pacing of the scenes still work. The pacing of the scenes is fine. They're at a clip, etc. But when it wants to be jaunty and the pace picked up, we cut back to another scene that they don't necessarily need to do that. Yeah, it tried to do a lot in terms of stories. And it should have narrowed the focus more, allowed that time to build the relationships that we see on screen, particularly between Josh Duhamel and his family and Josh Duhamel and the kid that he takes along this ride. And it doesn't. Like and at certain points, it tries to make fun of mob movie tropes, right? Like who the big mob boss is angry at them for going after, etc. And you know, I mean, a couple of different tropes, and like the trophy wife. It does a couple of those things, and some of them border on like parody. Like some of them border on like almost airplane-esque type parody, like the boss and his wife, and some of the super boss and his wife, and some of them just like, again, Shane Black comedy. If done better pace, it could have been better. And I think that's the overall thing for this movie. Spoilers, I don't even think I need to necessarily get into spoilers for this movie. There's not a whole lot that you need to know about this movie that I didn't just explain. So I guess we'll get into minor spoilers. I'll take a little sip before we dip into spoilers. 3, 2. All right. The minimum spoilers that you need to know is Josh Duhamel needs to go on this one last hit in order to secure his passage back to London. His trip to London, his time in London, he was in London. He killed the boss's wife's cousin, right? And the boss is super mad at him for that, right? That's the joke, as opposed to killing like the boss's son, or, you know, he accidentally kills the boss's wife's cousin. His boss's cousin-in-law, because he got the wrong mask. And the reason he got the wrong disguise was because he's kind of losing his sight. He's nearsighted. You know, we don't see exactly what his sight is, which would have been a plus. Had we seen, like, from his vision, it was fuzzy, or his vision, people are double, or his vision, it's closer. It's closer, it's better, and when it's further away, it's worse. Had we seen that, that would have been better, but we don't. And it takes that trope and tries to run with it, but sometimes he hits targets, sometimes he doesn't. They don't make that run through work enough. If you're gonna have that joke, the run through doesn't work enough, and the payoff doesn't work enough. Because at a certain point, he ends up picking up some other thug that he kills glasses, who says they're prescription. He puts them on, they magically are his prescription, or at least help him see better, and they get out of that situation. But then he never wears the glasses again. He never wears the glasses again, including at the end when he needs the glasses to get the final shot on the final super bad guy. Stuff like that. We don't, the build with his family, the general, if you're gonna do that, then the situation with him and his wife shouldn't be that angry. And if the situation with him and his wife is that acrimonious, then we got to see that love, that relationship between Duhamel and his son. And we don't really. His son doesn't seem to really like his dad. He seems to have bought into whatever his mom said about the dad. And, you know, it's not even like, but I still love you. You know, it's not even like that. It's like the kid actually believes it and thinks his dad is a deadbeat and thinks his dad sucks and all this, and his dad, you know, is a terrible person. We need it, which also has a terrible payoff, because at the end, Duhamel comes into his son's gym class taught by his future's father-in-law or stepfather. And I say future, but at this point, I think it's future. I don't know if it happens. We don't get to see the wedding. The wedding is supposed to be a time clock. He's supposed to try to get back to London to stop the wedding, which doesn't make sense, because if he hates his wife so much, then he should just let her go get married to somebody else and have her be his problem. But he doesn't like the guy. He doesn't like, well, I don't know why he's trying to stop it. It's not even like he's trying to make a family with her again. You know what I mean? Like that kind of trope where, like, if I just get this, we can be a family again. Or, you know, we really love each other, but the job got in the way type deal. Or we're just competent parents who were divorced, like in the Santa Claus. Like, they don't do any of that. Like, it's super acrimonious. There should be no reason for Josh Duhamel to want to stop the wedding. But if he is going to try to stop the wedding, that should be a ticking time clock, and it's not. They don't put that time clock on there. And so yeah, those are some of the that's part of the problem with the pacing issue. There's another part of it where the kid essentially sells out Josh Duhamel because his dad kind of tricks him into selling him out. But Duhamel doesn't know that. He just knows that the kid sold him out, and then the kid gets held hostage and Duhamel goes to save him. But A, he doesn't know that the kid sold him out on accident, and 2, they still didn't build that relationship enough for it to make sense that he's like, I still want to save this kid. again, the script needed more punching or taking some stuff out, and or both. And that relationship should have been better. They tried to build that relationship where they're on the road. They do a montage that's really cheesy, and they could have done that along the way. They could have done mini montages of them doing that kind of stuff along the way as they were on their way to their hit, to take out the guy that they're tasked with taking out. So yeah, that's some of the jokes, the pacing issues. Again, all that stuff leads to a less than stellar movie, which is unfortunate because, you know, we love our boy Josh Duhamel here at the Potacito, but there wasn't the material, and I would say the material wasn't there, but it was in more competent hands, in the hands of a good script doctor and or a better director / editor to take some stuff out, to narrow your focus as a audience member and narrow the focus of the movie a bit more, take out some of the gags, because the movie was just under 2 hours. It should have been 90 minutes. It should have been a clean 90 in and out. But it was tasked to start at 11. Actually, it might have been 90. It was tasked to start at 11:20. I got out of there about 1:30. That's a little less than 2 hours. And it started late. So it might have been 90. It felt longer. So maybe it had problems getting to 90. And that's where some of the filler came in which case I say you could have filled that out by focusing more, by filling in the world more, specifically Josh Duhamel and his son. We could have got more reminders of his son and how much he loved his son through the movie to help drive him along on his journey. We didn't get enough of that. I don't even think we got that at all. We could have seen him getting his shit back together. Just even a minor thing, not even a montage, but a minor thing where he gets his shit back together for, somewhere along the way, the kid gives him more positive energy or whatever, more life, etc. They could have done a little bit more of that. Near the end, we could have definitely seen him get his absolute shit back together. We don't quite really see that. There are different things. There are different issues here. There are different issues here with this movie. So out of $15, I usually rate these about $15. Out of $15, I would say London Calling is unfortunately probably only worth. I'm gonna be generous and say 5. And here's why I'm gonna be generous. The bones of this movie are good. The general idea of this movie is fine. The general script of this movie is fine. The acting, like I said, there are good scenes in this movie from a lot of different people. But the direction makes the movie feel a bit more bloated than it needs to. And too many wayward storylines feel and take too long, and sometimes take too long to remedy themselves. So yeah, there's a bit too much. There's a bit too much bloat in this movie. So but because of the bones of the movie, because of how good the cast is, how good it could have been, it wants to be a Shane Black movie so bad. It wants to be a Shane Black movie incredibly bad, and it's just not. And so 5 out of $15 for me rates this one. I would like to see. This could have been good. This could have been good. It needs a little. It needs somebody with. It needs maybe a script. It needs a script doctor with some credentials, with at least 1 or 2 good punch ups on their record, and we'd have had a better movie. But unfortunately, it didn't quite make it. So 5 out of $15 for me. I want to know what you think. That's the most important thing. Like, share, subscribe here on Surreal 469, SURREAL. The number's 469. There will be more videos and stuff coming up, coming relatively soon. As far as the Potacito is concerned, we're on a break while I figure out how to do this book that's in between seasons 2 and 3. I think I think I'm gonna have to settle for how to do the book. I think I'm just gonna have to read it to you. I think I'm just gonna have to read it to you on the audio podcast. I'm looking for AI to get some good realistic video. Everything I've seen either costs money and won't even show you demos, a lot of money, or is trash, or is just terrible trash for like slideshows and stuff. So this, I think I may just have to read it to you. And if that's the case, then that will likely be coming up. We're near the end of this month, so look for it next month while I get some stuff together. I'm doing some other stuff. I'm actually running errands right now to get some other stuff up and running. But yeah, that was so if you're watching this on Surreal 469 and you want to follow me on the Potacito, where we take a look back at the 2003 to 2008 TV show Las Vegas, the home base there being the Montecito Hotel and Casino. You can follow that on the Potacito on a whole bunch of different places. On YouTube, it's Potacito Tube, Podecito. We are on Twitter. thepotacito.podbean.com is where you can go and listen and watch on a couple of different video platforms that cannot be named on YouTube because YouTube is stupid. But yes, that's the Potacito over there. And if you're from the Potacito, you can follow me at Surreal469, SURREAL, the number's 469, where all my video catalog is up and running. And there's also the How Do We Even Get Here podcast, which is Get Here Pod on a lot of different stuff. Excuse me. And yeah, but those are the two main ones. For now, Surreal469 and the Potacito podcast. And in the meantime, in between time, thank you for following me on this journey here with the Las Vegas crew. And as far as the Surreal 469 crew, you know how we do it. Peace. Cheers, actually.